welcome all back to another edition for the Orange and Blueprints podcast on the Bayou City Soccer Network. I know it's been a while. It's feel like it's been ages, but that's summer break for you guys. It's been a huge break from this time span to now. But we're here to talk once again. Dash on a weekly basis now. The NWSL is back. Well, not back, but almost back. But you get the point. You get the point. But it's me, Manny Olivieri, as your host. But also, gotta bring back the home ground favorite, Diego.
Homegrown. Appreciate it. No, I'm a little sad, Manny, because the last time I was on this show, you weren't there, and I had Rudy step up and be
I know.
an amazing co-host. But we are happy to have you back. I'm really happy to see you repping the Dash colors. As we get to talk about some two really great matches. One a great 4-0 win against CF Monterrey, which brings a little bit of pain in myself. At least if you guys saw the last episode, you'll know
Yeah.
why. And then a win against Carolina Ascent at Houston Sports Park, open to season ticket members only. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to preview. Maybe a signing that we have been announced to 2 days ago.
Yeah.
2 days ago. And so, yeah, I'm excited. Manny said it. We're almost at the point where we're back from into NWSL play. So, I mean, might as well bring this show back and get it going. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if the dash is on break, we should be on break as well. But even though according to some people, aka Chris, we don't do that much. But it is what it is.
We're doing our best, Chris. We're doing our best. I can
I
tell you
know.
that.
I know. They want us replaced and kicked out already, but
uh,
it's okay. No, just real quick. I know it's always hard to, I think, follow this summer break because it's like the dash. I think out the end of those, beat the somewhat the least competition in of also availability for these matches. The Rayadas games was only in Spanish with Deportes Nation. I think a 4-0 loss for that game about 2 weeks ago, and then of course this past weekend with the Dash 2-0 with against the Carolina Crescent. Good performances from goal scorers. Sheehan, Stu scoring in every game. So at this point, and then of course you have the presence of every Patterson Stu on that as well. I think just going on to these games, I think it's just a lot to look on and see like, okay, how has these teams still kept a good composure, with going against opposition. Uh, I think my question to you, Diego, should we look into these games, or these are good results for the Dash so that they can be ready for the second half of the season?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good question. I feel like it's a double-edged sword when it comes to the fact that, yes, for example, CF Monterrey has a lot of talent. Diana Garcia, Christina Birkenroad. There's a lot of talent there. However, you have to come into consideration when it comes to the momentum that Monterrey had, which was none. They were in their preseason, and this was a training session for them in some regards. I think it's great for the Dash to really show an offensive strength, something that they haven't seen throughout the first half of the season. And then talking a little bit about Carolina, that was I mean, Dustin could Jefecito can probably tell us a lot more about that because he was there in person to check it out. But I feel like that game was a lot more physical, a lot closer because both teams are in momentum. And yes, we are talking about lower division team of the Carolina Ascent, but it was a team that is in their season play and so was able to bring some heat. What does that say for the season ahead or for the second half of the season? Not much. I feel like we've kind of, from both games at least, seen the same kind of team that we saw in the first one.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of struggles in transitional play, a lot of slow to get back, a lot of trying to build from the back, and then not really getting that connection going in the midfield. And then in the attacking third, not really getting that pinpoint finish. We'll talk about the solution to that in a little bit when we talk about our newest signing. But we're kind of seeing the same team, just in different situations and environments. Um, One thing that I was personally able to talk to Avery about before the after the game for Monterrey is that there is that mentality of yes, there is still a very clear possibility of sneaking into the playoffs. There's only 7 points differentiating the Dash and that coveted playoff spot. So I feel like yes, although we've seen kind of the same stagnated team and kind of like working through these kinds of quirks of a new coach, of a new team, of a new identity, we're kind of at least seeing this Dash team really have the mentality to get to that playoff line. And even getting anywhere close to a playoff line is already an improvement considering last season. And I feel like people need to remember that context.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. I think it's a good. It's I think the results are good, but I think also like of course like you mentioned, Rayados, still haven't kicked off, still warming up, even though their season just barely started last weekend or last week. Their season just barely started, so it's a good momentum. But I think that like you say, I think Carolina Crescent, even though they just finished their season, I think also you have to mention Carolina Crescent finished top of their league in the Shield supporter Shield standings with the first ever season. Even though they got knocked down the semifinals of the playoffs, but still a good team on in the USL Super League. So it's a good team. But I think my question too is, I think despite the Dash having struggles in the NWSL to create chances, to score chances, and coming out these two games like they were just like scoring for fun. Is it just shows a testament how tough the NWSL is, or is the NWSL so much higher than these rest of the leagues? Like Liga MX Femenil and USL Super League.
I don't know. That's a tough question because I feel like saying that the NWSL is just such a more competitive league would basically equate to the Dash being just that terrible, which I don't think they are. I don't think they're a terrible team at all, and I don't think that's what's causing their offensive struggles. Um, but it's also the case of I don't necessarily think that the Dash are really scoring goals for fun per se. I think the 4-0 score, albeit a very lopsided score, and for the first time that they've equated that score since 2021, every single goal had some levels of individual brilliance, Monterrey's errors. So it's not really necessarily all four goals equated to the offensive scheme by Fabrice really working out in their favor. Rather, it was just a semblance of how the game went. And so it's asking the question of instead of, hey, how can we look at these performances and say, oh, what's going on here offensively versus the NWSL? Instead, let's ask ourselves the question of how come we see the offensive scheme kind of flowing and working and really getting together and then not really clicking in NWSL play. Competition is certainly a play, but I feel like there's something deeper in that because you don't really see an offensive scheme work just once if you're a winning team. You see it work consistently game after game after game. And so the question should really be how close are we into getting that winning formula offensively? Because I feel like Manny, you can disagree with me if you want, but defensively, we're kind of getting there. We're getting to a point where we're competing really against the toughest teams in the league. We saw that against Orlando. We saw that against KC. We saw that in many games this season, even against CF Monterrey, which I mean they weren't bringing their best, but they were pushing till minute 90. It's more the offensive question that really needs answering. And I want to forward this question to you of like, do you feel like it's a genuine issue of the offensive scheme not really clicking? Or do you think it's just a question of Messiah Bright hasn't really gotten her start going, getting the goals in? Do you think we're just lacking a number nine? Like, which problem do you think is the most causing these offensive issues?
I think it's very you can tell like I think some games the offense looks lethal and some just not getting the ball in. But I think you give it credit to just how tough. the NWSL competition is, to be honest, because there's games you can see that the defense of the NWSL teams nullifies
Mm,
Messiah Bright, nullifies Yasmin Ryan. Sometimes they nullify Patterson because Patterson, I think, has elevated her game that she can almost run through any defense. But most of the time, it's at the end of a still defensive scheme, how compact and how well communicated they are, and you can see, I think, because. Like you say, I think it's hard to look in these friendlies because there are another preseason friendly for other teams. For us, the Dash has been into the season; they're in rhythm, and so you can see that rhythm into these preseason games to for other teams, and how easy the Dash can run through them. It shows. I think the structure's there, everything's there, but against the NWSL teams, is they may, how you say, lose composure. I think just because how well formatted other teams are defensively, and I think it just need that extra spark to go through. But I think.
I just find it hard to believe that it's just a sense of composure though, because I feel like when we're asking ourselves the question of oh, why isn't Messiah Bright scoring? Why isn't Yasmin Ryan scoring? Why Avery's been
Mhm,
scoring, but why isn't Avery scoring when we're down to one, for
mhm.
example? I find it really hard to believe that it's because we're losing the
But
composure to
but
really get these goals in.
yeah, I think also that's that, but also I think a lot of formation change. Fabrice likes to switch his lineups, especially in the forward line, depending on the players and also the availability of players. There was a time that we had to sub in Avery. Avery and Yasmin Ryan were absent for quite a while, and some Avery, I think, has missed about a total of about 4 to 5 games, and Yasmin Ryan has missed around 2 to 3 games. And Avery, well, not Avery, Maggie, had to play, you know, everywhere in the park, and that kind of disrupted the uh the rhythm of the game. And of course, Bárbara Olivieri, has a good game, then has a sleeper, and has a good game, then has a sleeper. It was that. I think it was really interesting, though. I really appreciate from this preseason game how well players stepped up. You know, because you
Mhm.
think you rely on, of course, Avery Patterson, you rely on Yasmin Ryan, but Michelle Lozie's not there. Also, Barbara Olivieri is not there. So other players will have to are stepping up. And so it's good to see that. I think most people would think Barbara Olivieri is a key player to this team, and still having 6 goals, 6-0 on both games. Without
Mhm.
her, it shows a good testament that the team is evolving, and also I think it shows how vital one player, two players, well, Avery Patterson, but also Delaney Sheehan has been to this team. I think if she's going, the team goes.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing and also a bad thing about this, team. You're relying not on one player, but she's running the midfielder, running the momentum and the attack, and helping other players to get open. But I think I think additions are still will need to be made.
Mhm.
I think compared to other teams that have made great additions and great fan, to the lineup and still competing. I think
Yeah.
the Dash can do too. I think you hit the point defensive wise where looks like it's coming back to when it was in the beginning of the season, sort of, and then now we just need to make sure we translate the attack and the confidence. I think most of all confidence into the regular season and see how we go from there. But I think it's like I said, we can pinpoint, we can criticize, we can just like tear it down. But at the end of the day, they're just games for preseason, just for them to get warmed up. And
Mhm.
I think when you see the score line 4-0, 2-0, you can have that irk in your head. It's like, if only it was an actual game. If only this game counted, to points and momentum. But I think it's just we just had to take it. And hopefully, they can translate it over to the NWSL next week.
Yeah.
I think with that, but with that in mind, I think with all the goals, with all everything, the Dash did sign someone to add goals for
Mhm.
the. Well, hopefully we have goals. According to some people, according to some people, like who did we sign? The Houston Dash signed forward Clarissa Larceny from Crystal Palace from the WSL. So she's here for 3 years basically, this year and up to 2027, and she has scored 27 goals across 68 appearances on her professional career, and so it's really good. And of course, she is a has scored 1 goal for Canada for her most part. I think Canada is really stacked, so I kind of see why she only has 1 goal for Canada. But I think overall, I know a lot of people are kind of like see okay how this, but overall, I want to see how your view about this signing.
I mean, I'm happy the fact that the Dash were able to really tackle a problem that they've had. We've been talking this entire episode about the offensive struggles, and we've had previous episodes talking about the same thing. And so the Dash go and sign a striker. I think that's wonderful. I think that's right where their heads are at. And I appreciate the fact that I believe it was Rudy or Dustin, one of the two, were joking at the fact that Fabrice is consistent about his strikers, talking about how good Messiah Bright is at pressing, and then how good Clarissa is at pressing. Now that we've got another striker, I think competition within the number 9 spot is always going to be great. There's no doubt about it. A player that plays for the WSL is always a strong indicator, and I think when you sign a player with the intent and with the style that you're trying to really build your team around, I feel like you're not really going to have net negative. You always want a player that drops back, that gets involved in the transitional play, that gets involved with building the ball forward slowly. I think these are very good traits for a striker under Fabrice's system, and maybe we'll see her be a little more technical, a little more on the ball, a little more, instead of just getting chances and finishing them, more involved in getting Delaney a chance or maybe Maggie a chance. And so I think these kinds of signings are really good, and I think Clarissa is going to do a solid job. Um, and this is also like adding faith to the fact that Maggie was a great pickup, Delaney was a great pickup, Yaz was a great pickup. These are all great pickups from our new front office, and I think I'm going to have the faith and say, hey, we're going to have another good signing. And I mean, genuinely adding this is like, if I could stress something, it would be this: there is genuinely no downside in having a competition in the number 9 position, because Messiah Bryant now has a starting spot to lose, and so that gives her motivation to really get goals. And if she doesn't, well, Clarissa's going to get goals. And so either way, we're getting goals. The Dash are getting goals. The fans are getting goals. We're getting goals as the media. So I think this is a really, really solid signing. Whether it's going to be an amazing signing or a lukewarm signing, we'll figure it out. But I am really happy to see her get her test this second half of the season.
Yeah, I think I think it's a good thing. You always want to have that competition, healthy competition in the locker room. You don't want your players to get complacent. I think ever since Deanna left, I think not saying Messiah Bright felt like her spot is hers, but you want that competition in your lineup either. But I think as you mentioned, I think you hit the point, or the scouting department I think has went up a level this season, even though it doesn't translate right now in results and points. But I think the additions that we made, Maggie Graham, I think most sought out midfielder has come to the Houston Dash. Picking up players that left Gotham, Yasmin Ryan and Dele Sheehan, even players like Calaprico, that was more of an afterthought in San Diego, coming here, Westfall. Maybe not has played, but has been a player that has cleaned up when there's injuries or when there's a defensive need has come in. So the scouting department has done their job, has done a great job. I think it's still a project. Still we're
Mhm.
in the first year of this project, so there's many things to look forward to, and maybe to see, okay, where does it go from here. But I think my next question to you, I think so far we still have until the end of almost the end of next month. Wait, if I'm mistaken, if I get this correctly. They have next up for the NWSL transfer window.
Mhm.
What do you think? Just having that signing is enough, or you think we should look for more in additions because the transfer window ends August 25th.
Oh no, I think we absolutely need some more moves. I think a midfielder would be a great spot. We have a lot of youth in that midfield. Kiki, Maggie. Sometimes we rotate a couple of other offensive players like Barb. Not as a young player, but a player that definitely has a lot of
Mhm.
years ahead of her. Um, and Dujon sometimes getting played in that midfield spot as well instead of the offensive slot. I feel like we have a lot of youth. A lot more experience would be helpful considering that you see how Delaney has been with this team. I feel like that level of like veteran experience has really helped the team in general. You saw the goal really against CF Monterrey, but also
Mhm.
against Carolina Sun. These are shots that you really see by a veteran player that's willing to take that risk of a out of the box shot or like a one off shot, not really a calculated build up play goal. And so I feel
Mhm.
like we need a little bit more of that spark, and getting a veteran midfielder will really help us. But midfielder, I think the attack is pretty solid. I
Mhm.
like her new signing. I like the fact that we have two number nines now. I maybe a designated winger because right now we don't necessarily have a winger under Fabrice's system. But I mean that's up for the debate. I know that Michelle Alozie is there, and
Mhm.
she's been killing it for her national team lately. So shout out to her. She scored a wonderful finish in the semifinals. But yeah, I feel like a midfielder is the one thing that we need to address, and then maybe a winger to give Alozie some like genuine competition since the last time we've really seen that is Maria Sanchez, and that was ages ago. And so yeah, that's kind of like what I have to say. Needs some work because I feel like we're really getting that shape together as
Yeah.
a team.
I think too, I think looking at the transfers that, the under team has made, San Diego signed a forward from the Brazilian league that has been in the Brazil national team, Angel City signed a defender from Eintracht Frankfurt, and then of course you have teams that have boosted like Base FC has signed a youth player from Barcelona. Mia Fisher, sorry, Seattle Reign from Chelsea. So it's like there's a lot of big moves that NWSL teams are making, and it's good, I think, to see in the league. I think also it's too early in the transfer window. I think for me to see they're going because of course two things why the uh the Euro final is this weekend, so I think a lot of players are still resting and still coming back from the Euros. So I think we might see more end of transfers. So hopefully, maybe the Dash could get someone. I think especially uh, I'm not being favoritism, but especially from Italy. Italy, since it's been almost 4 years since their league has started, and have shown tremendous growth. You may get a good cheap player from there, but also Copa America Femenil, still going on, still in the group stages. I know Chris was like, I'm watching the Argentina play, and then switch the channel to 5 minutes, but 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 it's still you still have players that are still playing good huge competitions, and so I think it might take a little while to look for that player that might be not playing for the national team and moving over here, but it so shows good as well that there's still time left. I think, like you say, I think another attacking piece will be great. Another winger to challenge maybe not Yasmin Ryan, but challenge other players like Bárbara Olivieri, the actually that
100%.
the extra spot, and maybe another midfielder to replace maybe Sheehan's, because I think she's played every game, every minute, and I think and you need a different spark in the midfielder. Of course, you have Maggie, but of course she's still a rookie. She's still learning her trade. But adding someone else that maybe have veteran experience but still young that you can grow and develop and grow into over the years. but I think it's very good. I think that one addition. So hopefully more, not just only that, but more science could be coming. But I think that is really all. I think the dash has really gotten up to now. So hopefully, some are still young, some are still good. I think it's hot.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it. But no, thank you for all for coming. I know it's been a short recap. I think we're all trying to get back to our regular lives after the summer, quote summer. Summer's still on, but like I feel like
Yeah.
we only consider June and July for summer, and then like boom, we're back to regular months in August because school starts early and everything starts back
Yeah.
August. But no, it's a good break. I think we both needed it, the little break
Yeah. No,
from the
definitely.
NWSL. But hopefully next week, we bring you back the preview and also the quotes from Fabrice and the team uh, before our preview and our predictions for against Orlando Pride at Orlando. Yeah, I think it. I mean, I think it's Orlando. It's been a while since I've been on this. I feel like my mind went blank after
Yeah.
but uh, it is no Bay FC. See, I'm so messed up. So I'm messed up,
Wait,
man.
is it their game against Oracle at Oracle Park? The baseball one?
Uh, I have not. I haven't. I don't think it's this one. I don't think. I know.
Okay.
I know
Well,
the
that's
pay.
coming up. So any Bay Area people, check that out
Yeah.
for women's soccer. But Bay Area, we're Bay FC, we're gonna get to see an old Dash player, an ex Dash player play against us. Trivia, little trivia for you, Manny. Who is that? Who is that player?
Man, I don't think Caliprico. I don't know why did I say that. It's the other
Oh,
one. That's how I was see. Uh, I can't. I can't. I've seen her. I'm like. I see her face right now. I see her. I see her. Caprice there.
Didask.
Dadasco. Caprice Dadasco.
Didask.
I know. I
Fabrice
like.
Didask.
I
We
know.
switched. We switched Caprice for Fabrice.
Fabrice. I know. I know. And it's no, like literally like when you just said that, like I heard her face right in my, but I couldn't get her name out of my mouth. I was like, God, like yeah, but it is what it is. But
Next
well,
episode, hopefully you'll
but
see
it's not
Manny.
it's not but it's not only her though.
Oh, Joel Anderson too.
See man. Now you're slipping, man. Now you're slipping. Now you're slipping. Now you say you thought I was slipping, but now you're slipping.
I was gonna say next episode, Manny will get better at the trivia.
Yeah, and then boom, I hit you one. I hit you one
No,
again.
no, I can't forget about Joel Anderson. She played very few games for the Dash, but she was solid. I remember her being very solid, so I'm happy that she's getting a lot of minutes for Bay FC
As a center back.
as a center back too.
Yeah, not as a attacking midfielder, as a center back.
Yeah.
Interesting what life takes you. But well, I'll show you what we're going to. We're going to sign off, and so thank you for all for stopping once again to the Orange and Blueprints podcast. Next week we'll be up and running as always to our regular schedule, hopefully on Wednesdays. So please always look for us at Bayou City Network, uh, BioCitySoccer.net. We like to thank our always look out for us on X, Instagram, YouTube, Threads, Blue Sky, whatever you use for social media. We're probably all there. And also, we
Yes.
like to thank our sponsor, Ugly Guppy, Lotes Bravos, and We Got Soccer, just for always helping us and supporting us as always. And we'll see you next Wednesday for that game on Saturday for Bay FC. And thank you all. Anything last words, Diego?
No, just thank you. We're happy to be back, and let's make a push for the playoffs. Let's hope that the season doesn't end in September. That's just all I'm gonna say.
All right. So we'll leave it at that, and then we'll hopefully next week I'll be more in tune. Uh, apparently, Diego. All right. Thank you all. Hope to see you all next week.